Tracy Blue. Commissioner.
Gordon Spears.
Missing
A lot of people.
Bob.
Oh, and Bob.
And
And
Bob.
Bob's here. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
our.
Bob is here.
Okay, open up the public comments. Do we have any public comments, Bob?
No, nothing. I'm still taking a nap from last night. I can't believe that. It's like I had to bring a cot down there to stay.
We're all tired from last night. Oh yeah, the cop was like, the officer was like, really like, you have to get out of here. It's like you're gonna be arrested if you don't get out. Oh yeah.
Time back, right?
It's like, well, if you want this to last longer than the rest of us, because that will make everything just spread out longer. Take more of your time than just pushing us out of here.
Okay, did everyone review the minutes from last, on 12/5? Pass.
Oh, this makes it really fun. Because
Yes,
very detailed.
I'm better than my.
Yes, it's August at that meeting.
Some talkers, don't know who they were.
You
You cheating Gordon over here. That was a good one. They didn't want that meeting to end.
Okay, make a motion to approve the 12/5/23 minutes.
Second.
All approved? Okay. Any nays?
Aye.
Aye, okay, it passes. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Approval agenda. Assume that no one has any opposition to the agenda. We have a place for, agenda does have a place we can add more things.
Yeah, this is where, right now, we discuss if there's any addition, anything we need to add to it.
Any, we have new business at the end of it, so we could add it there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do reports. Update on Lake Piggott. Commissioner, you want to? You guys show. Great.
Several hours of public comment and then several hours of my presentation. I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Not by much.
Not by much. And then there was a vote to deny. It was a 4-3 vote with me voting Commissioner Bonilla, Commissioner Bonilla, Maribel Gomez Cordero, Myra Uribe, Nicole Wilson approving, saying yay on that motion to deny. Mike Scott, Mayor Deming, and Commissioner Moore voting nay to in support of approving the Sesame development. A couple of the issues with the development was environmental. There was a study in 1995 by Seminole County showing that any additional developments there can cause flooding. So that was some proof about the flooding. St. John's Water Management District was had offered to purchase the property, and Orange County had offered to purchase the property, which showed its environmental sensitive status. I'm just trying to list out some of the issues. If we did that, we would need to build a new east-west road, which would have went through conservation land that the county just purchased, plus put a bridge over the Econocachi River, which is discouraged by the Econocachi River Protection Ordinance that we have. Economic impact, that road would have impacted the horse riding business that's there, some farms that's there. The horse riding business also has a market for small businesses that sell their products there. Also would have went through Research Park near the military base, which has sent us a letter of concern about the traffic and security of the base. So if we lose base based on that, that's a lot of jobs that we would lose in the area. And not only the military base had jobs, which they have civilian contractors, so civilians that work there too, but also the businesses surrounding it are supported by the military base as well. So those jobs would also be lost. So it's a huge economic concern. The transportation, like I said, that road would be needed in order to handle that traffic. And if it wasn't built, then it would be gridlock traffic throughout. Comparing traffic with and without Sesame, we already have these roads on our books to be funded in some way. That's gonna handle the traffic that we have now and with the growth, so that's already taken care of. It would cost more tax dollars with Sesame than without Sesame to improve the roads for Sesame than if, I'm hoping I explained that right. Okay.
Maybe it's because I've already heard it, but yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I understand, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Affordable housing. So they were saying that, that they could do attainable housing with the bungalows, that would be a cheaper market rate units. However, I looked at the thanks to Alexis gave me the market rates of everything in the area. From the lowest end of even the mobile home was like 150,000 to up to the homes were like a regular 2-story home on the lake was like 1.5 million. So even like, he said that bungalow would be about 450,000, which is not an attainable range whatsoever.
So,
And then their excuse also was inventory. Any amount of additional inventory helps solve our affordable housing problems, which is not true because right now we have about 70,000 vacant housing units. So inventory isn't the problem. Having affordable inventory is the problem. So, that argument of theirs was definitely very wrong. I think that about covers all of the concerns and issues, which I went through a lot faster now than I did at the meeting. But at the meeting, I had to actually have like all the data and everything to back up each and everything I just said, and that's why it took a very long time. In additional backing it up, the case law that I found, because this fiscal, a couple of things. So by showing the traffic comparison costs, that showed that this project just with that alone wasn't fiscally responsible. So that's one thing we're supposed to be looking at, and we've been told by staff that we're not allowed to look at. And so I did happen to find in our comprehensive plan amendment that before we approve anything, there should be a fiscal sustainability analysis of the developments, which there's a tool that was supposed to be created to do that. I have never, in the 7 years I've been here, have ever seen that tool. So,
never part of the staff report.
it's never part of the staff report either, so I'm going to be asking where is that tool, because it was not provided, which then made that application incomplete. Every single application we've had to this day from 2013 when that was implemented in comprehensive plan incomplete.
So is that
It's in our
the new or
comprehensive plan.
the old
The old
comprehensive
one,
plan?
yeah.
What about the new comprehensive plan? Does that language carry over into the new?
I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna check.
Yeah.
Because it really should be, also in our new one. Another thing that we were told was we couldn't make decisions on traffic congestion or concurrency. That's not true. And so I found that, case law that showed that we could make decisions on that. And there was another one. Oh, public opposition or comments, that we couldn't make a decision based on that. Found case law that we can, but of course it shouldn't be the only thing, which in this case it definitely was not the only thing. So I think that about covers. It was overwhelming, yeah. I think that about covers all of that.
So where do you think it stands then moving forward? Because this is
not the first time that they have done the denial or recommendation of denial. Do you think this is the end of the line for subsidy, or are they gonna come back with a lower density plan or? So,
That was 2 years, right?
They have to wait 2 years because they were denied. If they had withdrawn, that they would have been able to come back with another lower density project. They did not withdraw, so they lost out on that opportunity. The next step is, so when we were going over Vision 2050, I had asked for Sestiny and any other parcels that were not included in the current grow community to be removed from Vision 2050 as a growth center and be as part of the rural, densities. They said because there was an application submitted already by Sesame, we'd have to wait till that came forward. And if that was denied, then we'd be able to do that. So we had that conversation during the BCC meeting, which is recorded. So now staff has to hold to that. And so that's the next step.
I'm gonna speak to Jazz. And the guys that spoke last night, I talked to him about this, because on the rural boundary charter amendment, if we look at Vision 2050 maps, that's a baseline. And there's a map that shows this development along with the DRI down, which doesn't really exist, but it's on the map in southeast Orange County, this red property. That's both of those.
Those are red. There's no DRI over there.
I know there is, but there's an image on it. Look at the thing.
like these growth
Growth.
target
Growth
areas.
center or something, it's a color on the map. I don't want it there because, the premise of this is anything on those maps has a date we agreed on so far as January 1st, 2025. If this passes, that's when everything kicks in. Actually, it starts June 1st, 2024, and then the final acceptance is 25. But those maps are critical, and they determine where the rural boundary is in the rural area. So including both that land, both the times, legally to the rural area.
The
But
DRIs weren't they expired?
the DRIs, I had someone go research that, and there's nothing on that particular area. So they have something there. I don't know why it's there, but it doesn't need to be there. It scares me when I see images on maps, because it's not concrete and fights. Because it adds validity that there's something there. When you go looking for the documentation and say, hey, this
There's really no entitlements.
there's no entitlement to it, but as long as there's a map there, it scares me.
Right.
I don't want it on a map. I want the map to be truthful to what we put. And this development that you guys killed last night needs to be off the map. Next week at 9 a.m., I'm gonna have to talk with them. This
So,
needs to happen.
Alexis?
Everything left us.
We have to check maps. The Eugene and Gordon can help us with that. 'Cause
I mean,
I'm not a GIS person.
Laura on the west side, she has a farm over in Nichols area, and she's been very supportive. Her and I basically banged out the maps, so these are the maps we're gonna apply. So,
But yeah, we have to check the Vision 2050, make sure all of their maps are correct.
they show the reality of what it is, because there's stuff in speculation in there.
Well, they need to be updated to reflect this at least.
Emily,
And then if there's anything that doesn't have any entitlements, then, and outside of the urban service boundary, it should be taken off.
And another thing,
I mean, the
we
thing
need
that-
to double check the language that you just brought up too, just to make sure that anything that's important to the old one is, put into the new one.
I mean, the thing
Well,
that's
there's a lot of changes from the old to the new, and a lot of the sections were
I think it's strict
were
for
consolidated. Right, and then that was one of the things that I had requested to see was a whole section on financial sustainability. And they didn't want to put that in there, but there is some stuff in there already, as you know.
I mean, if you want, we got 2 more meetings in the charter. If you think there's some type of language you want to put it in the charter, or put the financial.
Well, the problem was that, and I think the reason that they never did anything is that it creates a lot of work for somebody, or
Oh my.
maybe a whole.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know who this would be, but I would think somebody in the comptroller's office. That is that's the person that makes the most sense to look at.
Yeah, but in 2013, okay, so before 2013, it was a state requirement to have financial feasibility. In 2013, when that requirement was taken off, the Board of County Commissioners had a meeting and they changed that language to fiscal sustainability analysis. And there was supposed to be a tool created in 2013 in order to do that with. That tool, I don't know even
was
exists.
never-
The problem right
It's
now
never
is
created.
everyone talks about the comptroller. The comptroller is great at what they do. They do audits. They look at post-mortem things.
Right.
This is about
This is
projection.
about looking into the future.
And this is, I mean, I saw a cat fight happen in one of my meetings about it. I mean, it's a religious difference between the economic forecasting group and the CPAs. They, one sees one as witchcraft. And it's like, okay, that's what you do models about. You create models to try to project forward based on historical data sets. You do it all the time, it's called weather, other things. Sometimes you get right, sometimes you don't. But doing nothing is not the right solution, which is what we're doing. You just made a $600 million decision the other day based on nothing. I feel good about this. We're going to build a stadium. We got a bunch of idiots saying, oh, this economic stimulus. But no, we need to get those maps updated. Although legally, we're not putting them in charter because our council says you can't put it in the language. You can kind of insinuate what you use, but the maps are in the background.
Yeah, the charter doesn't seem to be the appropriate place for that.
For the financial?
No, for the maps.
No, you can't.
Oh, no.
You can't state the maps. And even Seminole County didn't. The PR stuff had it, but they used the language of overlays of the existing county has the rights to.
They
use
used the
that.
boundary, basically. They used the urban service area boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they didn't have to actually do a map or a
Because it's already been defined legally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what That's what our maps. And when Lee Constantine and Randy Morris came and spoke to us, Lee was like, "You gotta spend 2 years doing it." We did. And Laura and I were talking about afterwards. We were pretty depressed because we were talking, we can set a committee up. And I'm like, no, that's going to work out well. Then after talking, I was like, hey, we've been doing 7 years in this Vision 2057. We've been in dozens of meetings. So that's why we told the next meeting, I totally turned it, looked at it and said, Eric, why don't we do this and that? We've been working on it longer than they did. So boom, that's the road we're down now. So hopefully next Wednesday, 9 in the morning, we'll push it out, hopefully get it finally, unless one of the other commissioners blows up more points.
So I have a question about the CRC. Are you able to do amendments to the comp plan or requirements, the financial feasibility? Are we able to put that in the charter?
You could make something like that, because I mean, the structure of government, isn't it? The P&Z is defined in there. All these LPs defined in there. The attorney was, and that might be bad because that was illegal. All these things are defined. What your job as a commissioner is defined. And we can expand or contract that. And it's the guiding philosophy of what the county does. So we certainly could come right to county shall have a financial department that does this type of work. And it should be somewhere placed. It should not be under the mayor. We talk not under the mayor. Minimally, probably under BCC. Could be under the comptroller. But we need a financial analysis tool and a financial group.
We're supposed to have one apparently.
Evidently, you're supposed to have one, but we didn't do it. So if we put it in the charter, that's another slam on the head thing. And that gives us something to come back and have a rebuttal to the government and say, have this, what are you doing? Because right now we can't do that.
So I have another question. So finding that this was a directive from the Board of County Commissioners to staff to do in our comp plan, in a legal document, and staff didn't do it,
Okay.
then no, but even if, does the mayor specifically have to say, you stop and it's time for you to do this? Like, after the board already decided, the staff should have taken the initiative to go ahead and do it.
In my opinion, you can make a motion as a board member, get a second on the BCC, and if you get a majority vote, then they have to execute the motion. You can overvote the damn mayor. He has one
No,
vote.
but it has nothing to do with the board. I'm
Well-
talking about staff. So is there anything in the charter that we do that if they get direction from the board, they have to do what the board told them? Because apparently in this case, they're just deciding on their own. not
But right
to-
now, you got enough data that you put out last night, that you could make a motion right now and say, this, based on this state regulation and our current plan, I'm making a motion that we form the executive branch to form this committee, because right now, that economics, seat is vacant. It's vacant under his thing, his actual seat.
Oh, they hired someone.
Oh, they got around?
Yeah.
I guess they were saying,
But I'm imagining that their tool would work something like if you go to the website Prices for All, they have like this worksheet and they're like, you can get the numbers, you just put into here and then there's a calculation, like this number times that, whatever, just, simple math, right? You just push in all these numbers, which it tells you where to get these numbers, and then you have your number.
I mean, I'm a charter guy, so I say, put it in the charter, define it, I need a citizen to put it together and pitch it, and I'll be the guy to catch it and make the motion.
But the problem is, even if we do that, look, we had a charter amendment voted by the people, 86%, and staff still did not follow it.
That's because the attorney illegally has been taken out of the BCC. In 1988, when we elected to create a mayor in this county, they didn't tell anyone they also removed chapter 403 of our charter. That defined the responsibilities and the duties
But
of the
it still
attorney.
didn't have anything to do, it wasn't even the county attorney, it was the,
County attorney's not
it
enforcing
was
the damn.
I think it was EP who was working with, FTC. And so they were giving, it was Byron Brooks, also the county administrator, who was coordinating
They're
with
not
the
supportive.
agencies after the charter had already been approved. Like, at that point, staff should have been like, okay, this is going
We
against
never,
the charter.
we wanted, they should have taken,
I'll get it.
they didn't
I guess I
take
could get
the
it,
bull
but-
by the horns and they just let it go. They didn't fight. We gave them ammunition. I mean, the charter can only say, here's the ammunition board and mayor, go do something. You can't say, you leave a horse in the water, you can't make it drink. And that's what we did. We gave you the water.
So it probably is, so I guess what I'm asking is a good idea or a bad idea, or are we allowed to like say in the charter, if, staff must do what the board and our laws say to do? And if they, I guess there always has to be consequence. It doesn't mean anything, there's no
The board
consequence.
can
If
do
they
that.
don't, then
You
the
can come back
consequence
as a
being
budget.
fired or something, I don't know.
There's,
Or there has to be some review so that they have the chance to correct their actions.
your power is the budget. People aren't working with you. You can always cut the budget. No, it gets people's attention.
Time frame. So staff must execute these orders within
Yeah,
1
but
month, 6 months,
Well,
whatever
right,
the time
time certain.
frame is.
The charter sets out philosophy, so I don't know actual procedural things. I mean, it's more of a philosophy. It's a constitution, so it's a philosophy of setting up bounds for the organization and the government. So I don't know, I can't really say we can dictate. There's a couple things legally we can't tell you how much money we cut things. We can suggest that we put it in the budget. Mayor has to address the next, transportation committee right now on that. We're probably gonna have a thing where they have to suggest something local to transportation. Same thing with housing, we have that. We can say you have to put it in there, but as a board, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything, but we can say you at least have to address it as a budget item every year. Yeah, together. Same thing with green place. We could do that with green place. Yeah, you have to address this. Right now, we have funding that will dry up pretty soon. So should we address that as a budget item every year and say, do we have enough money? At least bring up the question. If it's in the charter, you gotta bring the question up, please.
Well, or not ignore it like we did.
When the citizens like us can come back, at least at that point, the citizens, if they're doing due diligence in the league, we will come back and say, by the way, you know, conservation league would say, by the way, you have this charter member in 705, you know, .1 that says this. What are you doing about it? Actually, it's going to be a 10. It's going to be a modification. Conservation. I'm renaming that split up to conservation.
So or I guess this is putting it on the public then to
Show up and speak
to
out.
have oversight of the county. And
It's always in the public realm. It's that and the news services. That's why the news is written in our Constitution. It's the only public group that's actually written in the United States Constitution. The
to provide
press. The
oversight.
press that is their duty. That is the responsibility of the press, and that's why in the previous charter I had a couple people laughing at me about the Sentinel being dead. Oh, the paper's no longer. They got such good happiness when that person in District 1 lost their seat because don't ever do that to gods. They will come and haunt you.
Oh, she said that to the.
There was a
Bonilla
couple.
said that was dead?
There was a couple of the appointees from District 1 in the last cycle made some jokes. I was just sitting there. It was a green place meetings I pushed to get, and it was just joking. I went, oh boy. Guy turned.
Never make the media your
Well, the media is critical. I mean, all this Facebook and all this BS that people don't want free. No, it costs money to do public records. It costs money to pay people to go and do research. To do real research, it costs money. A kid on his iPhone is not going to do it. I'm getting bored. I'm done.
Well, they only look at Wikipedia anyway, so.
Yeah. She's going to be the person we head. It's going to be the head of NPR now. She did that job. So I think we should. I've been struggling about that whole financial thing. Jordan and I and Kelly have talked about this, debated about this, and I still think that we should have financial something in the charter that directs it.
How we do that? Do you need someone from the public to comment?
I want someone from the public to come and give the ideal, and then it's always good that the public does the ideal, and then the committee will be formed if so, and then we will discuss that. And so Kelly's the one behind the rural boundary. She's the one to make the pitch. Gabby is going to make hopefully a pitch on the wetlands thing. I want to add a few words to the charter. Hopefully, that gives you guys the right.
Do y'all still have time to do?
We have 2 more cycles. I'm getting into the next thing here, but
Oh, okay, so let me,
so let's go back to the tourist development tax. You're the expert on that.
just very quick, the community venues agreement, I guess those two are pushing forward, and at least the main thing is that the city will be responsible for the bonding. Visit Orlando agreement, not happy with that, the way it went. We had 2 sunshine meetings to discuss it being 25%. There was a consensus, and then they flipped during the BCC meeting. All of those 2 sunshine meetings, although they were really good, by the time we got to the BCC meeting, I guess, look, I'm assuming their staff had gotten to them and that, changed their minds and they ended up voting a different way.
So when you say 25%,
It was gonna be, so we're giving them 30% now, we've been 25%. And so then that would have given us about 5% of funding for other stuff.
right, 5% more.
Yeah, which, then like 5 million would have went to sports and 10 million would have went to Argon and the rest left over would have gone to something else. And then, if we got more money, then we both win. Visit Orlando would get more money and the county would get more money to do more facilities or different things. But no, they decided to do 15 million, total. So, the 5 million would go, the 10 million goes to the place I said, but there won't be any money left over to do anything now.
So we committed all the money, 600 million is committed, and that's all.
All committed, and so Dr. Phillips, which we were hoping to at least give something to, is gonna get nothing.
So we're gonna have a stupid football stadium that gets a stadium thing, but there was no bowl games because they totally decimated the bowl concept of it.
Yeah.
So I'm real upset.
I don't care, but
Expand
I hate to see the money
the
wasted.
convention center. What a waste.
Well,
And you just said the venue agreement has to do with,
Camping World and Kia Center.
I mean, it doesn't,
yeah,
The venue agreement.
okay, that's not what I'm talking about then. You said something about bonds, I thought that.
but that's a
had to
city
do-
bond, it's a city bond.
Cities.
Right.
So for the Kia Center and for Camping World, the money that we give them, like they'll bond for the projects. And so the money that we'll be giving them will help pay off those bonds, but they'll have to bond the money, not the county. So that we're
But
not,
what about the convention center?
that's the county's bonding it, because it's county property.
And so if they, there's a shortfall, then the city has to come up with that money, that, they can't come back to us and say, oh, you can have this.
Correct. Yeah, so they'll have like a dedicated percentage of the TDT
They just take more
to
money.
do that with.
So 0% of it can go to transportation still.
We weren't allowed to anyway, so.
But-
Anyway, we are gonna, we did direct our staff to the lobby Tallahassee to be able to use, to do another, there's like another, I forget what it's called, another TDT tax that we could use then for like affordable housing. And things like that.
I mean, we could always get that code can be modified, I mean, a lot of other cities and, I mean,
Oh, we
counties
need
have done
permission
this.
from the state. to do
Yeah,
that.
I understand, but the county, there are other counties like Monroe County that can use their tax dollars as they, on totally different.
They got
Usually-
special permission from the state to do it.
And then this place acts like, oh, we can't ask, you certainly can ask.
And we're gonna try, I will doubt that it will be approved though under, Sandus.
I don't know, you know, you're not asking for anything radical, you're just asking, it's not.
So he has vetoed almost every single funding request from the county. So,
And what they-
every single.
What he,
That's
what,
because
what
we
my
didn't vote for it.
what my suggestion is then the lobbyists on Orange County need to work with a bunch of red counties and get some, because they want the same thing, they want flexibility.
To do it, it would have to be statewide.
Yeah, it has to be, I mean, there's a huge problem throughout the state, is affordable housing for the working class, it's unaffordable for people in the state now. I mean, it's a problem in every county, except maybe Dixie and Liberty and, that's probably it, you know,
I actually looked at this,
Washington County.
this document, like all the property tax, the average property tax in the different counties. And there are several counties that's like $800
Oh, those,
a year. I'm like, okay, I think I might maybe move there.
no, Smonter County, they were at 600, these are impact fees, $600, they raised it $900, all the commissioners got kicked off by the old parts. They were like, oh, we can't do impacts, well, guess what, the roads are an absolute disaster there. In Brooksville, which is, Hernando County, they're broke, I mean, a friend of mine was the county attorney there, I mean, that county is broke. You go to Brooksville, and you think you're sitting out in the bush in the county, but that's the city of Brooksville. They have no sidewalks, there's ditches in everyone's yard, it's like, wow.
No, and I've talked to these commissioners in rural counties, because, you know, part of the Florida Association of Counties, and they do struggle for money, because you can only raise the property taxes to a certain percentage, and you can't go over that, so they're capped at how much they can collect. So they're like, they really depend on like
But
grants.
the
and
state
stuff like
has
that.
taken over at least one school system, and Monticello, that county's been taken over because they didn't have enough students in their bank. So the state had to take over the whole county's education system. So that, I mean, this state's poor. It's just like, oh, it's just new stuff.
Yeah, so there's no allocation to CDT for any remaining task force projects.
So hopefully the lobbyists will be successful. I mean, politically, I think you could put something down that makes a veto very until you do it right. You just have to get enough other counties to make it broad enough that like, you know, okay, I know I hate Orange County, but I got, you know, a bunch of others, Sarasota and Collar and a few others, and I derive a lot of support from them. I can't solve it. You gotta make it politically untasty.
So the breakdown of the 15 million. Oh, it was 5 million for sports incentives and 10 million for what is that?
I mean, when they get 100 million.
What was the other one? ARC, which is like the I forget what ARC stands for, but it's basically a committee of citizens who looks at applications for different projects, applying for TBT funds. Like, for instance,
Is it
the
Arts
Orlando
Review?
Science Center,
Arts Review Commission?
Arts Review Commission.
Is that the Arts Council or something, or?
Yeah, and so I think, I wanna say the Science Center was one of the applications, and they had, to do, that environmental kind of thing that they're doing, that nature thing. They needed money for that, and so they had applied to this board and got to.
So we have $700 million for entertainment and $1 million for education.
Well, if it's a museum, we could use TBT, if it's, arts, culture,
But we just gave $600 million to do something to the stadium.
I think
Yeah.
it was 400, I wanna say 400 million.
And then the stupid arena, wherever it's going now, got
I
a bunch
think
of money.
Kia got like 200 and something, and then,
And what are they gonna do, get new air conditioning? I mean, they just built.
yeah, they are actually.
I mean, come on, I mean, they just built the damn thing 10 years ago, and it's,
It's something like
Are
air
they gonna
conditioning
blow it up when it
seats
gets
and,
new?
I don't know, some other
So
stuff.
why are they not paying for their own maintenance? That's what
They're not making enough.
well, then
Because
why don't we
they're-
blow the
they're-
thing up?
So in our sunshine meetings, that was something that we were talking about, was that they're not collecting enough, their transaction fees, like on tickets, so the city gets to keep those fees. So let's say you buy a ticket to see the Magic or a concert, there's an extra fee on that you pay, that fee goes to the city. But they have, according to Myra's research, they have the lowest, fees than any other place. So
The
she's like,
city-
they could increase that and get more money, you
The
know?
city of Orlando is so defunct, I mean, on the Parks Department, if we did the fiscal analysis, I mean, Orange County is doing a good job. They are rational, they're doing good stuff. City of Orlando has not updated their impact fees on the parks, for instance, since 2004, and they give a 70% reduction on the development fee. So that's why they have no parks. I mean, so I'm not surprised with hearing this. It's behavior of pro-development, screw the people who live here. Oh, you're here? Welcome. Go and shut up. That's their opinion. That's the city of Orlando. And it just doesn't, they don't want to improve the quality of the place. They just want to attract people and tell them to shut up. Because I mean, they're not doing anything. I mean, the county has done a really good job on fiscally being disciplined and moving forward on the park system. From what I see, is really good. The library is really good.
So we also have dedicated funding for those two things from the property taxes.
Well, they could have the same. The city of Orlando could increase their impact fees, for instance. So, all the southeast Orange County, how many parks are in the city of Orlando right now in Lake Nona?
I will,
Probably none
I will
that
say,
know of.
I will say though, talking to, the former association guys, talking to other commissions in other counties, when like their libraries are struggling, when they've heard that that in Orange County had an extra tax on our property taxes, they're like, how did you make that happen?
Ask the citizens to gain their trust. I mean, that's the problem with the mayor. He doesn't understand. You got to gain trust, and that's why in the transportation committee, we're going to set up where, if you're going to do this, it's 10 years. It's not going to be 20 years and trust us. And well, hopefully we're going to set up a very structured agreement on how, if this happens in a committee that represents, and I'm fighting about the committee right now. So just.
Back to the lake thing. One of the mayor's kind of arguments about the transportation was like, and Commissioner Moore too was like, oh, well, we had a transportation sales tax.
You voted against it.
I voted against it, and so they were like, oh, you have all these issues that you need to pay for. We had this transportation tax, sales tax that, could have been passed. Well, in that transportation sales tax plan, none of the projects was in the east side. None of these projects would have been included. So for them to bring it up, it was
No,
it wasn't not related whatsoever.
Critters is bad. I mean, it just,
Oh, and
There's
then
no trust in what they're
and
saying.
then when we had in the morning, we had a presentation about the sun rail and all this, the trains and stuff. He was like, oh, you mentioned that there too. Like, oh, we have this transportation sales tax that could have paid for this. The reason why I voted no was because they weren't putting enough money into mass transit. So for him to even say that, this could have, helped out, I'm like, no, the
The thing
reason
that-
why I voted no was because it wasn't gonna help
during that meeting, he started negotiating with, Nicole and someone else about percentages. And at that point, I thought, this is bull crap, because you don't start moving money at this point. That shows that this money can be moved in the future too, if it means so little. There's no guarantee that a dollar's gonna stay in this bucket. You gotta define the bucket, define what projects. If you don't have that, that's why the library has what they have, the schools have what they have. They set up projects and they gain confidence from the taxpayers. So when they come back and say, we've done these projects, you trust on these projects, and they're like, oh, you gain confidence on what you've done in the past, so we're gonna give you that privilege to move forward. And you got 10 years. 10 years is a good time from an engineering standpoint. It takes about 10 years to go through the whole life cycle of a project. So 20 years, no, I don't want, that's too long. 10 years, 10 years is a problem. And I think he hasn't learned that yet.
Yeah.
He thinks people are stupid enough, if you come enough times, they're gonna say, okay, so.
Well, I don't want to say the person who is, but he hasn't learned now. So let's move to the next item. Before I say too much that I'll regret. Charter review commission topic. So what is going on? There's so many committees, and how many committees do we have now? What are they doing?
I think we have 5 committees and each one has multiple things. So quickly, the public bank, we finished that one, that's done. It's gonna,
What was the results?
not to do anything. We told the community, look, this is a totally new thing. We just didn't know how to even deal with this. And also we have so many no-goes from the state, but we don't think it's a bad idea. We think it needs more development next time. And Nelson, Fred, for it, and we'll continue working on that. The next thing. The other one is, let's see, government committee has a number of things in there. And what's coming up on the government committee on the February 19th, we're gonna, CRC frequency, we haven't gotten, that recommendation has already been said, we're gonna maintain it every 4 years. That's not gonna change.
What is that?
The government structures committee is looking at a bunch of things, separation of powers. It's looking at a number of commissioner districts.
Yeah, go down the items. I just heard the first one you said. Was that for your terms you said?
Yeah, the CRC frequency.
Frequency. Oh, so
frequency.
how often
How
is
often?
CRC?
Because there was some talk, initially there was some talk about, should we do it every 8 or every 10 years? Some counties do.
You have to do it more often than not.
So we decided, basically, actually, Teresa Jacobs made a good argument for 4 years.
Okay. So
he decided, and I was not willing to change the 4 years myself. Separation powers, we're still frank about that. It ranged from my point of view and Chuck's opinion, just get rid of the mayor. It's not serving any purpose. Well, the committee doesn't support that. So, okay. So now, we positioned, and I think probably Chuck agrees that, all right, the mayor should not be sitting on the BCC. It should be a separate executive power. They should have, the executive power, but they should have an agenda. They should not have a vote. The debate is, do they have a veto or not?
So at least we're going to the direction of separating.
Separate, but we need citizens to fight for that, because I don't have the votes, I think, personally. I do the votes. That's a 3 to 4 right now. So I need people to come out and lead one board. It'd be wonderful if they come out and talk about it.
Have the league ever did some kind of study on that? Just curious, because I don't think the study was the end of the government.
The government committee has been
Committee,
silent.
I
I mean, I'm a member of it. I don't know what's going on right now. I haven't had time. But the government committee and the league would be the perfect group to come and talk about the history and maybe what their concepts of. I think it's.
You'd have to have another commissioner, would you? Because it's 6. So what would you do with ties if
It would be-
mayor is?
I would say, like, after doing the census and me having all, I would go from, or like your area, like you're talking about this
Catholic school, whatever, I'm like, I have no clue what that is.
Okay, so,
You know, like, I don't get to that side
So-
as often as I
Well,
should.
there's so much going on
Right,
on your
so-
side.
I
so-
know, so if we had an extra commissioner, we'd be able to
okay,
be
so
more divided, you know.
that's another debate in this separation of powers that is the lead on. Let's say we do and separate the mayor and take the vote off. Then it brings up the question of the seventh, commissioner. And so what the chair has said, and I agree with him on this, is on, what we could do is adopt for the first cycle before the census division, is just assume the same districts as the school board. School board has 7 districts, we just assume their structure. Boom, we're done with
Is
that.
that based on population though?
They're written by the same, no,
Because the thing is, the county is based on population, so,
you know,
I don't know how theirs is based on.
that's something we're quiet to address, but, hopefully it is.
So you're saying each one of these districts has equal number of,
It's approximately 250,000.
so that's why it looks like that?
Yeah.
Well, there's some.
Well, I
history.
mean, I was fighting for it to be moved, and I even gave them a proposal because it was so cool. I mean, I haven't been here for the last one, but they had a new system, a map where you could just move lines and it would count the population for you. And so it was like the neatest thing. So any citizen could submit a map.
I mean, one other thing.
Yeah, for suggestions. So I added Avalon Park, and I took out your area.
My neighborhood problem.
Yeah, I took out, and then I was like, I got people from College Park upset because they wanted to stay in my district because they love me, and so I'm like, oh, thank you, but I get better, you can get better served, Anyway, so that's what I was doing, so that we move this way, and then everything.
There's really
adjusts.
nothing in
Anyway, I came up with a solution, a good map, and then my representatives, I gave it to them and they presented, and it was shut down because that committee did not want to change anything
But
except for little line movements. That's
okay,
it.
the problem is there's no charter is silent on that. It really doesn't go into how it talks about divisions of it. It doesn't say how or set up the committee. Right now, the committee is very partisan based on the political people picking it. So I mean, that's something that we in the league we addressed on the last conference we did. We did a motion to create an independent nonpartisan organization to draw state districts, and that's something that the county should think about. Now, I'm not sure if we want to do that this time in the CRC or not. We could have someone present language on that.
Isn't it a little late? Aren't y'all getting close to winding up?
Well, I'm on my list here.
Okay.
Okay, so, which is the last time we can put in new things, is the February 19th meeting. You have to have those agenda items by the close of business on February 7th. So if anyone's interested, February 7th is your deadline to get new things in. So after that, we're on flight control down to May 20th. May 20th, hopefully, will be our last meeting. So we have about a couple dozen before that happens. So meeting every 2 weeks, starting this month. So
January 30th is next one.
is the next one. So we're meeting every 2 weeks because by state statute, our spring votes forward, we got to do 2 meetings. So the first stuff that's coming forward on the 30th, the 19th, hopefully will be January 30th would be the public bank. On the 19th, currently scheduled, the initiative petition committee, we're gonna bring our stuff forward to that, hopefully we're gonna vote next week, so we'll be in time for the agenda. The government structure, CRC frequency, separation of powers, expansion commission districts. I hope we have something. And I would love to see the government committee come, because politically we need this.
Well, you're on the committee, I'm
I
not.
can't,
You're on the government committee, I'm not.
yeah,
I don't even know who's on
I don't know either.
it.
After Carol retired from the committee, it fell apart, and it's like, I'll talk to some people that say we have our organization, and I'll make a pitch and say, look, guys, you guys want to have some influence, you need to come talk. because, what's her name, Dr. our former president,
Oh, Gloria.
Gloria spoke of an initial petition at the last CRC. So, it'd be nice if, I could get that. Charter cleanup is, sustainable growth and charter, that should be coming up on, the 19th. The initiative, by the way, Chuck and I have probably wiped out 70% of the language. So it's much closer to what we had in 2012. And there's a few modifications based on new state law and stuff, but it's much more simple. The number of people that you have to get is much lower percentage wise. It's still a lot of people, but it's not the same. So it's almost doable now. If we get what we think is going to get passed, hopefully it'll get through the commission. And when that happens, we need people to come out and do a pitch. The sustainable growth and charter cleanup. I don't know what's going to happen because if we get so many things on the charter, we might just say we might not do anything with that. We might. So I wouldn't be surprised. I give it a 50-50 chance of anything. There is some stuff we need to clean up and scribble stuff, but it's not as critical as stuff I think. Rural boundaries is the other thing that we're bringing forward on sustainable growth, and that's coming up next week. We also have, let's see, what's the next thing? We have a transportation committee, which is actually meeting next week. We're talking about setting up a transportation committee and trying to look at composition. And that's and I'm not really keen about this having an engineer and an environmental consultant and these type of people. I actually want normal residents to actually use the systems because I don't think this could be an engineer, and I need an engineer as an engineer. I don't think that qualifies me any more than a person who actually rides a bus to say what is good for a bus. We need this normal people. People who are not connected to the industries. Because it doesn't seem like these committees ever come up with any.
I can actually give you a really good real life example of the Florida Department of Transportation wanting to do something. The residents were like, that's not gonna work, this is how it should be. The FDOT was like, but this is how our requirements are based on studies and blah, 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 it's the safest way. And I had to go out there and I was like, the residents are right. I need to show you this intersection because it's not the typical intersection. When I walked them out to there, and they're like, yeah, you're right, so are the residents. Okay, we'll do what you're saying. So yeah, you have to experience it. Sometimes
Gordon is responsible for drawing the lines for a lot of the Lindo stuff. You are an expert in where you're at, but you're also a normal human being citizen.
We'll also use the service.
Who uses the service.
Yeah.
FDOT was like from Tallahassee.
It's how I sat in a links. I sat in a links a while back. Not a single person in that whole on the committee actually rides the buses. They've never. I've ridden the buses more often than they have. It's like these guys make decisions on something they have no clue about. They don't know what it's like to sit by the road, have no seat for an hour, and then try to make a connection that you just missed in an hour and down there. We need normal people, and that's why I'm going to fight about it. So I've already. I'm tired of seeing the engineers who are connected to the development committee and the environmental consultants. We know who they are. They're connected. They're not going to go against their masters. Let's be honest.
No, they're gonna go for what's most profitable for them.
They're not going to represent
Not
us.
what's best for the users of the system.
I want a majority of people who are part of these committees. Transportation should be people who represent the actual committee. You don't have to be a PhD to figure out that we need X, Y, and Z transportation.
So these committees are going to be like advisory boards for the county?
Yeah, it's going to be setting up an advisory board. We're going to try to create a structure. If we do a transportation plan, we have it in our charter. So
We included that committee that they have to do this financial feasibility study on any projects that are coming in when it comes to transportation.
certainly.
Because that could be tied onto that. Because in that language, are you going to outline your responsibilities?
For the committee, or
Yeah, that's trying to say,
we could, I mean, we start.
because that could be one of their outlined responsibilities is to any development, you
I
know,
mean, you might
projects.
talk to your aides, you guys have attended a couple of the meetings, so you might wanna see what they say, and then you're welcome to make a statement in there, because I mean, this is gonna be pretty quick, because we don't have a lot of time, so. And Tom's leading it, he's an attorney, and he's already written up a lot of language, so. I'd like to see us make it so. At fiscal, we have a board that actually is functional, my point of view, which is a citizen-based organization, not indebted group of people.
Are you familiar with the CFL for Transit group? That would be a good group to draw from because it's mostly writers.
Okay, I mean, it would be, if you have those, I mean, give me the data, and unfortunately, the meeting for this is next Wednesday at 11 a.m. up in the fourth floor. Ohaney, comptrollers. So I don't know if you have time, you certainly can come, give 3 minutes. And we typically will allow presidents to set up an individual to speak to and have talk about what they heard and what they thought about this. We like the feedback too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we do it on both sides. That's something I've been doing since the last one. I'm an engineer and I like to say it. Talk to myself all day, it's still like a solution. So the other thing is, what else? Chuck put something in about the section 605 about when the primary, which is a technical thing about partisan races or something. It's if you have 2 people, and then the point that I'm going to make on that, and I've already made it, is writing candidates cannot just execute and force you to have a runoff in primary. And then, you know, as a candidate, you have to go through either pay or get the signatures. Well, you well know about it. And all of a sudden, Joe Blow, you know, decides I'm just going to be writing. All of a sudden, boom, that triggers general primary race. So, and there's a policy out there. Well, I'm tired of policies. Policies don't mean squat. Policies is like, if I feel like implement, because Mayor has a bunch of policies not implemented right now. I want it in the rule book that says you have to do this. And
Granted, it's ordinances are.
and the SOE, you know, the state attorney has an interpretation that says we should not be considered violence as a valid candidate. And meanwhile, in the county, we do. And I'm like, no, we should not be doing that. I know it's dirty politics. I understand that, but it's, you know, we have people who are actually working, trying to get on the ballot the way the rules are set up. And you can't have a person come and say, oh, last minute I'm going to be on the ballot, and then trigger that because they know dang well that, and Chuck has the numbers. The percentage of people voting in primary is so much lower because there's so much misconception on who can vote because our education system is broken in the state. You know, they think only it's a partisan. Now, well, no, most of the races, as we know, are decided in that because no one votes, and all of a sudden we have a group winning that. And one of the things that we'd like to do is force the race to be a general election, so we get the biggest number of people voting. It's democracy 101.
So why are you against write-in?
Because it triggers the primary rates. If it went to the general,
So you're talking of partisan races
in your, let's
or
say,
non-partisan races?
non-partisan races.
So, I mean,
It triggers a runoff automatically if you do it right. Why even bother?
but why would it matter anyway, because most write-ins don't win anyway.
Yeah,
So-
true, but
Very
it,
few write-ins.
I agree, but it triggers the primary rates.
Even if they lose.
It sets up that
That means you have to have a primary
you
race.
have to have a primary race just because.
Which then separates everybody into Republican and Democrat. NPAs don't get to vote.
No, but this is the nonpartisan rate.
That's the part that we
That's
have a real, I mean, the league, we are constantly trying to tell people, you can't vote. But then like, well, only Republican, Democrats.
Yeah,
will
but if
vote.
you, okay, so it's
Nonpartisan, they still,
maybe I'm not
it's too
understanding
small,
this.
they won't come out.
But if it's a nonpartisan race, and there's one person who only qualified, their name's out there, whatever, their name's on the ballot, someone does a write-in, so all that's gonna be there is just a line, right? That's what's gonna be in the primary for that nonpartisan race,
Well, if it's two people, let's say you have two people,
but it's not gonna be two people, if you had two people, you already have a primary anyway.
no, you have to be in the general at that point. Because
Really?
it takes about 50. It's plus
Okay, so
one.
if
Yeah,
you're,
I understand how having a write-in candidate
Because it kicks in the 50
Forces
plus one
them.
issue.
to have a primary. Why?
It's,
but so you have to have two or more,
if you have two, then
you
it's
have
gonna be,
two, it's
one
only in the
person's
general,
gonna get 50% plus one, someone's gonna get it.
but it's only going in the general ballot,
That'd
not
be a
the primary.
general, but then if you get a third
It
person, it
really-
automatically kicks you back to the primary.
Okay, got it, so then that would add like a third
As
person.
another, and then all of a sudden you lose, then the demand.
So you're saying it doesn't matter if the writing candidate didn't muster many
Five
votes?
people, but it still triggers that.
Why?
Primary.
Because in all likelihood, the winner still got more than 50%.
The problem is your
But then you're not getting-
electorate group of people is much different than a general election. The people who come out in the primary are partisan typically,
Yes.
and they're the hardcore guys. So you're getting a different flavor of who wins. You're not getting a full,
Yeah, but we're talking about nonpartisan races.
people don't vote on nonpartisan.
If they
The
don't-
nonpartisan races don't show up on the primaries. The primaries are
Right.
always the partisan races.
And
No,
nonpartisan.
because the nonpartisan races are on there too. Yeah,
But they're not separated by
Party, no.
party.
no, but most people don't understand that they can vote because the nonpartisan races are in the primary, and we can't educate people about this. We tell people about it. I mean, the league tries their best, we don't have a huge capital program to do this. I'm even sure the state, the state has restricted the counties from even educate. The SOE, we can't, the charters that we pass, we can't educate anyone. Really, it's against the law for us to spend a dime to educate people on it. We can't even talk about it. I mean, it's all about, if it's a partisan race, only the partisans come out, we can never get the word out that nonpartisans also have races. And things are decided, we tell the citizens in the league all the time. The race is gonna be decided in August, it's gonna be.
Okay, but that's irrelevant to the question of writing candidates.
It triggers the partisan. It
How?
triggers.
But it doesn't trigger the partisan, it just moves them from the general to the primary. Even though it doesn't make,
It's a
I understand what you're saying, it doesn't make sense, but
No, it doesn't
it
make any
shouldn't,
sense.
but that's what they're doing.
They're doing that, it's a chess move, they know it's gonna move back to the primary, and they'll have a better chance to get their candidate elected, because now you got a different select group of people who vote in that section, that's the part, it's just.
And then it's just traditionally
But how does it, because the primary has already happened by the time you get to the general election.
yeah, but it's happening before the
But those
primary.
people already been chosen, because now if you got a smaller group of people choosing that group, and if they get 50% plus one, bam, they won. So you get a different flavor of people moving out in that election. It's a much more partisan organization at that point. It's not much of nonpartisan. And what's the percentage of people vote in a it's
Very low.
it's very
I
low.
still-
It's like
I
listen,
still don't understand how, what is the mechanism by which a write-in candidate in the general election will cause that election to go to the primary? Why? That makes no
I don't
sense.
understand it fully. I think the SOE gets something that triggers the SOE and have to do.
What is the SOE?
Supervisor election,
Okay,
Bill Cal's on, so until he retires, I think. So.
but I mean, they can't go backwards. They can't
But that's not,
retroactively put this candidate back on the primary ballot because they already had the primary.
but that's what, it's not happening after the primary happens, that's happening before the what is it, verification, qualifications.
Qualification.
So there's a certain date when
Qualification has to be done
qualifications
by
has to
June.
happen.
Yeah, of course.
June.
Yeah, but that's
So
a different
that
thing.
write-in has to be submitted before June.
Yeah, June
after.
15th is our deadline for the charter. We have to have our final report approved and written June 14th, Friday that day. Because it goes to SOE and then they start the new thing on charter. So we have deadlines within the charter. That's why we, work, why we have the schedule. Because if we don't meet that schedule, it goes up in smoke. So they have the same thing. If you're a candidate, you better get your shit
Sure,
together.
I understand why they have rules about
But then the writing is
qualifying
not
to be on the ballot, but we're not talking about people that are on the ballot, we're talking about people that are write-ins.
Yeah, they still have to qualify the same way, but
Why?
it's just, they don't have to pay for it, they don't need petitions, because
Oh.
they're writing.
Your definition of right is not the same, because mine is, I'm with you, that's, you write them in, but you're saying that
It triggers
you bypass the petition process to
Yes.
get on the ballot?
Yes.
You announce
But
that,
your name
I
won't
don't
be
fully
on the
understand the process, but it does execute.
How could you be on the ballot if you don't go through the petition
Yeah,
process?
So
you're not
you
a write-in
still-
if you're on the ballot.
So you
Yeah,
still have to
anyways.
go through the same process as another candidate. You
Alright.
still have to do all that and qualify, but your name won't be on the ballot. So there'll be like a line that people have to write in your name. So, but you still have to go through that qualifying.
I can't imagine that person is ever gonna win any.
No,
No, they won't,
no,
they
it's
won't.
just
always
They're
lose.
No, but that's
They're
not
there
the
for a
point.
purpose, to
It's
hold
not-
votes away from the other people.
Yeah, it's a
Because they
strategic
pay.
move.
They pay to
I
get
know, but they're
on
probably
there.
not gonna pull very many votes.
No,
Is there a
enough.
writing candidate?
Enough.
They don't.
Doesn't it come with a
We have
candidate?
the candidate down in South Florida that had the same last name. They poured 6,000 votes and they thought they were voting for the person they wanted. It turned out to be, they said right-wing Republican who ran with the same name. And they threw the election. Same thing up in the Senate race, Seminole County. They did exactly another ghost candidate.
This is to prevent ghost
Ghost candidates, you can't just. Okay, let me move on to, we have, transportation, talked about that, government committee, I think we beat that one,
Just to give everyone a heads up,
we got at least.
agenda wise, we're supposed to start on new business and then we have to give up the room strictly at 8 due to
Okay.
building regulations.
Okay, yeah, I got that.
Is there anything that goes?
Yeah, that's it. So,
That's everything? The CRC?
all right, so that's it pretty much on the CRC. We have a meeting coming up next week on the 30th, the business meeting, it's in this building. And that's fine, yeah.
It'll be here, by the way.
Sure.
The
The
January 30th meeting?
At
Yeah,
6,
on
yeah.
Tuesday at 6 o'clock in the administration. Okay, let's move on to. Let's go, is there anything?
They just had the community meeting this morning, with about the rate increase that's being proposed by Flores yet again. So the staff from the Public Service Commission got to hear the public comments. Honestly, I just don't think it's gonna persuade them, because I feel like the commission, the appointed commission should have been there, not staff. Well, and staff, so. And it was recorded, so I guess they'll have a chance to watch it. But, yeah, it's just, I would guess if there's any support from any of the public, maybe that sent letters or emails to the Public Service Commission to tell them don't raise their rates, to support the residents. I think that would, I don't think they'll do it, but it'll be nice and to support them, and maybe it'll help, I don't know.
What resources are available to residents that are affected by climate change, such as I guess you could call that climate change. The groundwater goes bad.
So,
Yeah.
So, the only thing I could think of is,
Is there any federal government
is, but the
resources.
state has not chosen
The
to
state
accept it.
has locked it out.
Yeah, DeSantis.
Was there another way to go around that though and get direct funding?
Well, I heard that some cities and counties, and it's across the country, it's not just Florida, are asking the administration if they will think about giving those funds
I think the Congress.
of some sort.
Blue
Yeah, it has to
counties,
go
blue
through
counties
our-
and red states.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
No, the count, the,
No, they have to request it,
no, the
right?
count, no,
Well,
the-
I think our
Congress-
delegation in Congress is
Congress,
working on that.
yeah, Congress has actually
Cross.
had to rewrite that legislation to allow counties and cities to actually do, not the state be the godmother on everything. So,
Yeah.
because this is now a problem
I think they're,
throughout the country. Where
I think
cities
they're
want
working
this
on it.
stuff because shit's hitting the fan, meanwhile, they got to put it to the politicians in their state capitals saying, no, we don't want this damn money. Meanwhile, cities and counties actually have to deal with the shit.
Well, in Orange County, it's gonna have more problems than the east moving forward. The water is not gonna get better.
No, it's gonna get,
It's gonna get worse. And,
So I think, what's that, like the Taylor Creek? Or no, no, there's, Tahoe Lake.
oh,
or-
is that the utility? Tahoe,
No, it starts with a T, there's a lake out in the
Tahoe.
Deseret Ranch. No.
well, there's Big Lake Toho
Is that
and East
Deseret?
Lake Toho, which
So
is
that's,
near,
this-
near St.
Taylor
Cloud.
Creek is the water, refuge. They have a dam there essentially.
Yeah, there's
Like
there's a
Donna.
dam
So it
there
is
or-
Taylor Creek.
Taylor
Yeah.
Creek is
Okay.
where they want, where
The
they want
reservoir.
reservoir.
There's already a reservoir there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, but all that water is so tainted, I don't know how you touch it, so.
Well, that is the plan, to use that water, that surface water for drinking, for
at Ridgefield,
the
No,
county.
For the county, it's one of the many things, I mean,
So
that water is so
are we
polluted.
running out of underground water,
Yeah.
so their
Meanwhile,
plan is to
it's
to
not-
help assist with the water missing in my I need some sleep. To use that reservoir to supply drinking water to Orange County, I think Cocoa Beach, the city, I don't remember, in Desert Ranch or whatever, there's like some agreement there. That we had finalized, and so that water would be our water supply.
so EPA says this water's okay to drink. They probably do. 'cause they have-
EPA will
was
say
not-
whatever the
EPA was
governor
not even
tells them to
involved.
say.
No, that
It
water,
was utilities that was involved.
that water is polluted, I mean, from a
So-
trail guy point of view, we actually do water catches all on that, we tell all that, do not touch that water, it's polluted, unless you're gonna die.
You mean from
I did
Taylor
not know
Creek
that.
Reservoir?
That whole, well, it flows into that, it's all they've been putting biocides all over that whole area.
Well, yeah, it's
From
a
the
cow ranch.
No, it's biocides from South Florida, it's human poop, that they
But they
spent
use it to
thousands.
fertilize the pasture for the cows to be able to eat the grass,
No,
right?
there's
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, this is something,
thousands of tons of human waste have gone down.
Yeah, they-
Done Washington,
there
Lake
was,
Washington,
there was
right.
some, like a lawsuit and they,
DEP
and
supposedly
they,
is.
they were, it was ruled that they couldn't dump it down in South Florida where they'd been dumping it.
Yeah.
So they just put it in trucks and brought it up here.
And Desert say, hey, we'll take it, no
Yeah.
problem. And now Lake Washington has been shut down at least once, I know, for natural plants contaminating the water, because that's their water source. Melbourne,
So
Lake Washington.
back to Wedgefield though, we did have a meeting with the Orange County Utilities today. They let us know that the issue is coming back to the board tentatively for April 9th. So now it's moved from March to April 9th.
This is just the initial study of it,
Now, phase 3, they're gonna provide an update on phase 3,
which is the full
which is the appraisal.
appraisal of the total system. They done an analysis of the pipes and all that. So is that the 80? 80, is it 80,000? What was the study? 80,000 or 80?
Yeah, the 80,000.
80,000. So this is not the deep dive study, this is the.
No, but they did their own smaller version, less expensive version of the full,
Okay.
what do they call it, evaluation of the,
We don't
of
know
the
the
conditions,
pipes
the
or
systems
anything. They have
conditions and all
some
that.
pigs down there, look at the pipes and all that.
But they run their own team.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on to new business.
Yeah, it's a city o'clock.
Okay, so any, new business?
Do you have anything? I presented, I think back in November about the homeownership equity initiative. We are up and running now, open for potential homeowners to come and begin to participate in the initiative. And for coaches, walk the participants through the process, starting with a small pilot program. Open on mass April, pilot in March, but we're still recruiting for participants in the process. So we have a meeting, but anyone who is interested, go to our website, which is www.homeownershipeq.org. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say we're hosting a first time home buyers and renters right seminar in March, so I'd love to partner with you on that, about getting word out both ways. We'll talk about your social media posts and we can exchange and help each other out in that way.
Alright.
Perfect. Thank you guys. This was a really productive meeting. Oh, is there anything else? I don't know how to
Real
call
quickly,
those.
you brought up something yesterday about the roads for the conservation elements. We might want to ask someone to pitch that to the CRC.
Yes.
To expand that, so maybe Valerie and might be the person that we asked to make that pitch. To protect all parks and conservation against linear, facilities, which include roads. And we're also going to probably deal with, additionally, add a few words to section 705 for wetland or wetland protection. So that gives you guys another thing on municipality annexations to extend our ability to protect the wetlands.
Okay, so quick note for my stuff, what did you need someone from the public to present now?
We need,
We took some notes together. Is that what you brought to my attention after the CRC?
yeah, we need to
So like-
federal roads, you know, you brought it up last night. We need that we need to expand the concept of split oak, that
Right.
all parks, all conservation areas in Orange County are protected against linear
That's
facilities.
704.
704,
Perfect. So we have ample notes on that.
so we can pitch that, and then we have to have that no later than February 7th, to February 19th.
I'll
We
bring
have
it.
another meeting
Swim
earlier.
supporters are gonna show up in mass at the next FCC.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it, next TCC, the split oak stuff?
FWC is
February.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's right.
All right, next meeting, February 21st. Thank you for coming.
now FWC meeting is the same day, by the way, I believe, up in that, it's not.